Helps if I have us unmuted. Welcome, Fetty friends, to the first episode of Fireside Fetty. I'm your host, Ozone. Fireside Fetty is a show about folks within the metaverse. If you're watching this, yes, that means you well. If you're seeing this, you are part of the Fediverse. I'm absolutely honored to have my first guest be the person that created the very platform bring this on. Gabe Kangas is the creator and primary developer of Owncast. Owncast is a self-hosted live stream platform. Gabe, welcome, and I'm seriously really honored to have you here and grateful for all the amazing work you've done to make this possible. And also, I was actually talking to the Go2 Social folks earlier, and they were very excited. They said, Gabe is awesome, and tell him I said hello.
Oh, that's so nice of them.
Gabe,
I'm very excited to be here, so thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on something that, again, as we were talking before this, that you and I have talked. You always have been very open with talking to people. Is that, well, before I get into any of that, how do you like to be addressed? If it is, supreme ruler of the Fediverse Owncast, I'm fine with that.
You can just call me Gabe.
Gabe? All right, let's go with Gabe then. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, you've always been really open with your comedians. Was that easy? Was it something that you had to learn?
I think it's more that I generally like being collaborative. Like I don't like working by myself or just feeling isolated with my own decisions or feeling like I'm working on things blindly. So I would much rather have other people around me giving their opinions and their use cases and talking to me about, what they want and how they use things, and people who are contributors to the project coming in and making contributions and making suggestions and things like that.
Yeah.
That I'm far more happy working on things in that manner than just like being isolated and just quietly just like coming up with my own ideas and just hoping for the best.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. There's, you're only ever going to look at it from one direction. Other folks, you could see, multiple directions. You can have multiple experiences. So that's great. The other end, it's clipped. My mic is strange. Great. I love it. Perfect. It's already going well. I'm trying to talk up, but I'll try and be louder as my wife and kids are going to be happy. But this is the first episode, everyone, so bear with me. I've already found some issues, but I'm going to do the best I can. Mike's Gabe is clear. Yeah, he's the important one, guys. Don't worry about me. Gabe is here. So let's start off early. Who was Gabe as a child? What led you where you're at now? On the Fediverse with Owncast and all of that.
Absolutely nothing.
So Gabe, as a child, was the same Gabe that you are now.
No, just the opposite. There was nothing about me as a child that would have pegged me doing any of this.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me when I was young, I was going to be a professional drummer and I was going to join a rock band, and that's what I was going to do with my life. I was always like very extroverted and always performing and doing, theater and a lot of drum related stuff, a lot of percussion ensembles. And anytime I could get an opportunity to like perform in front of a crowd, that was my thing. So like sitting in front of a keyboard, like quietly working on something is about as far away from that as you could get. So
definitely have the rocker vibe going. Like
I have been told that.
Yeah.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah. No, I love rock. I actually, my 4-year-old, you have to be careful with kids because you never know how they're going to react to something. But just the other day, my wife put on some rock, and I was like, let's go really crazy. And for my kids who've never really experienced anything, I put on baby metal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
my 4-year-old loves baby metal. Like it's so great. And I listen to, that whole gamut of stuff. You have to things, but yeah, I totally get the look. Nail it. And it is a compliment. Best possible way. Uh do you have like any pets or anything? Like what's look like at your
I live in a very tiny studio apartment in San Francisco that doesn't allow pets, but I would love to have one. I grew up with a dog, a
Yeah.
family dog, and it's fond memories of
Yeah.
having a dog running around the house. So yeah, that would definitely be something that I would like again in the future someday. But yeah, not physically here right now.
Not yet. Maybe in the future. Future Gabe will have a dog.
Just gotta live somewhere a little bit bigger, at a place that is conducive to such things.
Oh, I'm sure San Francisco cost of living well within bounds of being able to have multiple pets, right? Like there's nothing crazy about San
Beautiful
Francisco.
backyard and for the dog to run around and
Yeah. You definitely you need you definitely need space. Like we recently got a dog, and that was one thing I told my wife. Like we were moving from apartment to apartment, need to get a medium. So yeah, it's a little dog, whatever. It'll more enough space in there. What kind of dog? You have a certain dog that you really?
I don't. Um, I am a sucker for the adopting the sad looking dogs.
Yeah.
You know, the more fucked up looking, the better. Kind of wins me over.
There's something cute about a unique, let's say it that way,
Yeah.
a unique looking dog for sure, right? Like yeah, I totally get you. Can I ask what your family dog's name was?
Tessie,
Tessie. Okay, girl dog.
girl dog.
What kind of dog was she? Odd as well.
Yeah, she was like primarily like a Sheltie, but like a runt. She was a runt of the litter, so she was a tiny Sheltie.
I think you and my wife have similar tastes. Your taste in dog is very odd and unique looking, and her taste odd and unique. So you guys would get along great. So that's what is like something that someone looks at you and they're like, okay, well, he is this kind of find out, some kind of silly thing that is surprising, thing odd or interesting, hobbies or
I wouldn't say anything I do is necessarily odd or terribly interesting. Um, I mean, I try to keep busy with the the things that I enjoy doing.
okay,
But uh, yeah, I couldn't really say that any of them are terribly unique. I
yeah,
still like to keep up playing drums, and I
okay.
do some music production, and I like DJing for my friends, and when I get an opportunity, and so I mean, none of that is terribly weird, but
But well,
things I enjoy.
I mean everything to us is new because we don't know Gabe, Gabe the software developer. So like, and it amazes me. So one of the things that always surprises people is I'm in Krav Maga. Like I do Krav Maga. Like it is. I grew up, kitty kid, and I never thought I would enjoy hitting something, but there's something so satisfying about punching a bag and kicking a bag. So never done it. I would recommend. Have a band that you're in, or you just do?
Just personal. All right, maybe this is interesting.
Yeah.
So every couple of months, I take part in this event here in the Bay Area called Instant Band Night, which
Okay.
is a bunch of strangers get together in a room and you put your name in like a can of what instrument you want to play, and then they pick one name out of each hat, out of each can,
Okay.
and then you have 5 minutes with these strangers
Yeah.
to write a song, and then you get thrown up on stage in front of the crowd and you perform this song with the strangers that you just worked on for only 5 minutes, and it is the most fun thing in the world.
That is amazing. Like that, I think most of us here are very IT people, and the best I can come close to that is like uh, um, Code Jam, right? Except
Sure.
you're an even more compressed time, and I have no musical talent whatsoever. I have a guitar that I strum like once every 10 years. I have no idea. So the fact that can, just sit down with people 5 minutes, break something out and put it together. What kind of music do you play in these? Is it like, do you stick specifically to rock? Can you go into country? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of based on what people you get thrown with.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, does anybody have an idea? Um, I mean, I've thrown out like, let's play a ska song or let's play a disco
Yes.
song, or um, if nobody has like a strong vision, it's the medium ground tends to be just kind of like straight ahead rock.
Yeah.
Guitar player will be like, I don't know, how about this riff? And like, okay, great, and then you just kind of go with it from there. But if somebody has like a strong vision of like, oh, let's play this kind of song, and I think it should kind of go like this, then you get to do something a little more ambitious. And
That is awesome. Have you made like lifelong friends this way, or at least people that you would call friends, or is it purely like a one-off thing and you enjoy it that way?
yeah, a couple. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's people that I just see every couple of months when I go to this event, and I've met a few people that I see outside the event now
Dude, that's awesome.
at music of
Yeah.
local music things. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, and I mean, so when you come up with a song, like you're not making, and I'm sorry, like I'm just fascinated by this. I've never heard of something like this. This is what it's about, right? I love this. Like you can't come up with a full like song sheet. Like you're not writing actual notes down. Are you general like kind of music play and style as you're going?
Yeah, generally, like the most basic parts of a song, you kind of need like a verse and a chorus, an A part and a B part. So it's like, all right, let's make a song that has this kind of feel to it. What's the A part going to be like? What's the B part? How do we transition between the two?
That's
How
awesome.
do we start and end the song together? Which is actually very difficult when you've never played it before. Like, how do you know the
Oh.
song is done? And you end together.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because, right? Because, like, it's very easy for us as consumers. It's like, well, I know the song's done because I know it. Like, it's done. But yeah, it's like, that's incredible. No, seriously, dude, that's amazing. I've never heard of anything like that, and I love it. That is great.
Ton of fun.
That is awesome. Never stop that. Always do that. That is great. So I'm going to pivot a little bit now. So when we were talking earlier, I happened to notice that you have an @ symbol on
Oh
your.
yeah, I
What
do.
is so? Can you tell me a story behind that?
Um, so originally, I got it to represent being an IRC operator on IRC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like was super big in IRC, had a lot of online friends in IRC channels, and um, so it kind of represented that, just kind of
Nice.
like pointing to something really nerdy, but also it's kind of like a generic kind of internet symbol, right? It's like in email
Yeah.
addresses or really kind of anything. And long before Twitter used it to address people, and then Fediverse microblogging were
Yeah.
using that to address people. And it's like, oh, it's just kind of like it keeps on picking up new uses over time, even if like older ones are less used, and that's
And
kind of cool.
I mean, that's because my immediate thought was it was for the Fediverse. Yeah, like we've gotten. I mean, I think you're around my age, right? Where saw at least beginnings of the, and we used it for email addresses. Said IRC. I remember being on, in chat rooms. highlight someone's name and it pops out, and it's like that. As much as it evolves, it still has those. Everyone that sees it now, and it's brilliant because everyone that sees it kind of has a new meaning on it, and you could probably track it through history.
Yeah.
That is great. I love that. But now I have to mention, and again, you were talking about this earlier, is people. I don't know if people can see it, but have a light in the background that is your Owncast logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of on the screen. I kind of cut it off, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's blown out. The camera can't really see it very well, but yeah, it was given to me as a gift. Really, really thoughtful gift, that the Owncast logo. So she put effort into designing it and getting it sent off to get it made, and it's one of the cooler things that I own.
How did you even come up with the logo and the name of? I mean, Owncast. It sounds pretty easy. Can you walk us through how you came up?
Yeah, the name, I had to pick something that was, I mean, the repo was originally video-stream, and I'm like, I kind of need to call it something.
Right.
So I just, kind of came up with something. I'm like, I don't know, it's my own broadcast. It's Owncast. Great.
It's such a great name because, I mean, let's just take, right, for instance, it doesn't say what it is, but everyone knows it, but that's just because, they're everywhere. Whereas Owncast, it's like, oh, own cast. Like, you can kind of infer the name, and it's so simple that, like, once you started sitting down, were you jotting down tons of things and you got to go through 100, or did it kind of pop in there?
That as far as I remember, that's kind of the only one that I came up with. I didn't put a ton of thought into it. Just like it says what it is, and I think that's fine.
You're just naturally creative like that, then.
Just
that's great.
Because at that point, you create a repository and you work on something, and you have no idea if it's going to do anything. But it's like, well, I better give it a name just in case somebody else, wants to look at it or refer it as something. So that's why it even had a name to begin with. Like, you could argue it prematurely had a name because it wasn't really anything at that point. But
it's one of those things where you look back on it now and it's like, it was the right move, right? But at the time, you're like, I don't know, am I being this? Like, I don't know about you. I'm not a software developer, but I've tried my hand at software, and it's like, I'm going to make this. And you come up with a name, and then you start. And there are a million times where you start a project, it doesn't go anywhere. So then the next time you're like, I'm not even going to give it a name because it's not going anywhere. But
right.
Like, yeah, that's great. I love it. How did you come up with the icon? Again, because it is beautiful in its simplicity, and I absolutely love how at the end of the stream it.
Yeah, so the only reason I had a logo at all is because when I look at people's repositories and they have a README and they have like a logo on top, I'm like, that looks nice. I kind of give it more, I don't know, it looks more polished, like, oh, this is a thing. This isn't just, something they don't really care about. Like, this is a real product of some sort. They care enough to like name it, and it has a logo, and their README looks nice. Like, it is purely, trivial. Like, it doesn't really matter. But I'm like, well, I want my README on the repo to look nice and portray that I'm doing something that I kind of care about and that I think is kind of cool and I want to keep pursuing. So logo.
I mean, I think that something as simple as that, because how many times have we looked at any kind of software repository, the wall of text?
Sure.
And it's like everyone's just like, just give me a I'm a human being. I want to see things. Again, something as simple as that really does kind of catch your attention, bring you more into the project, and make you feel like I'm not reading this blanket of text just to what this thing. Again, I think that was a really something is. How long did you spend on that? Like, I'll just jot something down and throw it up.
Prepare to be disappointed. I searched for free logo maker, and I clicked on the first one, and then it had this thing where it just kind of like randomized shapes, and eventually it landed on one, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then like you could tweak the colors of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I want it purple. I like purple. So it's like, I'll tweak the colors a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's literally it. It came from a random free logo maker.
AI before AI, eventually,
yeah.
But it wasn't out to steal anyone's job, so that's a positive thing. But no, that's great. Again, I didn't know. I never knew if it had some kind of deeper meaning, but it is still. It's again one of the instantly recognized.
It's fun hearing people call it different things, which I've enjoyed.
I always thought it was kind of like an offset flower.
I hear flower a lot. Yeah.
What does it mean to
you? So honestly, when I came across that shape and saw like, kind of all the, we'll call them petals.
Yeah.
And then there was like one larger petal, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make that petal a different color than the rest. So it's like, this petal is going to be the oddball. It's going to like stick out, and it's not going to really fit in. It's going to have a different, it's going to be bigger and not fit in with the rest of them. And it's going to have a different shade of color. And that's going to be Owncast, that petal. It's going to be the weird thing people don't necessarily
understand. That. Because I think that anyone that is running Owncast, like, we're obviously, again, here because we're kind of the oddball. Like, we could easily go to one of the bigger platforms. The reason here, and I love that. That is taking that away. Thank you. That is great. I love that.
I don't think I've ever told that before, but that's
yes,
that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. I love it. That is so good. Love it. And I never thought about that. That is great. So what did the start of Owncast? You and I had talked to each other 2 or 3 years ago. Gabe used to have kind of a scheduling. Bring him up and just schedule a time, and you just talk to anyone, which again I thought was amazing. I've never seen any open source project do that. I worked at Red Hat for a number of years. Software developers never wanted to talk to any of us. So the fact that you have a scheduling assistant set up to talk to people, and I schedule something, and when I had the talk with you, I was so nervous, and I was like, you talk to people all the time, and you're like what? I was like, how can people not talk to you? This is amazing. So what did the start of Owncast?
Yeah, so it was a side effect of the pandemic. So everybody was at home doing their things. Live streaming was getting more popular. But the more popular it got, the more kind of negative nightmare stories I was kind of hearing. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, copyright, or there shouldn't be, filters or whatever. There's a place for everything. But I was hearing, like, people like me love going out and dancing to loud music with my friends, which I couldn't do during the pandemic. So I would, go watch online DJs and stuff like that. And hearing their stories about like, oh, then I would just get kicked off because of, these auto copyright bots. And I would hear stories of bands playing their own music and getting hit by bots. And there's no recourse. Like, you can't just call up Twitch and be like, oh yeah, could you fix that? You're just kind of at the mercy of an automated process at that point, which I'm not saying all that stuff shouldn't exist. I think there's a place for everything, but I do think there should be a plan B if you want it. Like if you say, I'm going to opt out of this and I'm going to take responsibility for my own thing, there should have been an option for that. So I started looking around and I couldn't really find what I was looking for. There are big like enterprise video streaming projects and big like complex stuff. But I'm like, what if somebody just wanted to like just run a live stream? And I didn't even know if it was possible. A part of me was saying, well, if it were possible for individuals to be doing this on limited hardware and their own VPSs and stuff like that, people would be doing it already. But I looked around, nobody was doing it. So I figured, well, I need to prove it to myself that this can't be done. So I like duct tape a prototype together of just like different pieces. And then I sent the link to somebody and I'm like, just go to this URL and tell me what you see. And she said, oh, I see a video. You're playing a Nine Inch Nails video. And I'm like, holy shit, it works. I'm like, I just proved myself wrong. I didn't think this was doable because nobody else was doing it, but all right, I'm running a live stream from my laptop in my apartment and you're watching it.
No, and I could absolutely relate with that recently. Like I was telling you earlier, like I was just like, I actually asked, I think it's Fetty Things, asked it on a couple months. Does anyone do podcasts? I hate the word podcast. They would do a show where they just talk to people and they're like, that I know of. And like that, that person, they have a lot of followers and there are a lot of people. They didn't know what else. Maybe I could try. I don't think anyone would be. And then literally I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try. I need a personal project. I need something to be passionate about. Feel that drive to do it. And when I, posted, I think it was yesterday, the day before, and I like had 50 followers, which let's be honest. Yeah. Twitter, that's not a thing. That's the most I've ever had. And I'm just like, wow, this could work. This could be a thing. And so I could totally relate in a totally different context, but
sure.
It's an amazing feeling, right? When you're like, oh, there might be something there. And it's so empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really kind of the day one of Owncast, just proving to myself that it couldn't be done and I was wrong.
That's awesome. Work on Cast full time, or like how much time per week?
Yeah, so there were blocks of time, particularly during the pandemic, where I worked on Owncast full time. Just kind of like lived off of savings and said, I'm gonna focus on this because I think it deserves it. Was lucky enough to get an NL-net grant for a while, so that helped keep me afloat as well. At some point, I just kind of ran low on funds and I needed to get a job again because, believe it or not, open source doesn't make a lot of money. So yeah, now I have a full-time job and I balance Owncast and nights and weekends and things like that. So the amount of time certainly varies.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to say.
Well, you do have, and I'm gonna link it when I put the video up on my peer. You have Kofi. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to through. Or is it paid? But what you have for people to help support?
So the project has an open collective.
Open collective. That.
Yeah. But yeah, none of the money goes to me. It goes purely to just paying for things that the project needs. Things like hosting and testing platforms, and we recently trademarked the name Owncast, so it's like we had to pay for attorneys and filing fees and stuff like that. So it all goes into that kind of thing. So that's where the money goes.
You're saying attorney, like developers? What? Like?
Yeah, I tried to find the open attorneys, but they haven't quite got there yet.
Maybe they'll learn a thing from all of us here, right? Maybe
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's coming in the future. Yeah. Where do you see Owncast going in the future? Do you have any tech that you want to have? Protocols? Is it more you lead or what?
Yeah, there's a few kind of like big features I still want to be included. But as far as like kind of big picture, the project was always to allow people and organizations to run a live stream first and foremost, and everything else is kind of secondary. But so it does that. So now it kind of, the umbrella grows a little bit. You notice that I haven't really talked about chat at all, because Owncast originally didn't even have chat. Like I was not interested in any of that. Like, this is a streaming video server.
Right.
And I thought, well, I think people would like chat as well, because they're kind of used to it. And like originally I thought, well, they'll use Owncast for video and then they'll just kind of embed it into whatever they want, and they can use their own chat or whatever. And then I just kind of realized that's probably not actually what people want.
Yeah.
And it didn't really jive with my vision of just like being able to download a single binary and run it, and then you're off and running. So it became a chat platform as well.
I have to say, I am grateful because the community that I've built off of Owncast wouldn't exist without chat. If I didn't have an easy way to meet people, talk, and interact, that's my favorite part. When I do my live streams, I love to talk to people. And that's one of the reasons different backgrounds. And I could have literally lived right next door to such a different background and take the time to have those conversations. So I am grateful that you do have chat in there, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to answer your question. So where
yeah.
I see it, just kind of like growing more engagement features. So one thing that people, talk about is they wish it were kind of easier to get more viewers. And while I feel pretty strongly that a part of self-hosting and running your own thing and being responsible for yourself is also being responsible for who comes along. People are used to the algorithms. Kind of, you stand back and then let the algorithms bring people to you, and you didn't have to do any work. But I'm not sure that that's terribly positive. I believe that, it's just like if you were in a band, you would go out there and tell people to come to your shows. Right. That's how it works. And if you don't do that, nobody knows who you are. No one's going to buy your music. No one's going to come to your shows. And then as a band, you're going to be like pretty bummed, and you'll probably break up. So like one thing directly leads to the other.
Yeah. No, yeah. If you wanted to have a band and jam, you would stay in your house. Right? When you put on a show, you want to experience it with. So and you do have the Owncast directory. You have the Owncast directory. Is that kind of your idea, or so? And for those that don't know, directory.owncast. Are you talking about expanding that? Or are you talking about going wider into?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about the directory. That originally was just a way to showcase existing Owncast streams because I figured Owncast was kind of maybe not clear to people about what it was. And in order to tell that story a little bit easier, it's just easier to say, like, look at these other ones.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a way to say, here's some other ones. Do you like what that is? Then you might like it too. Instead of just me writing about it or talking about it. So that's kind of what it was. It was not, honestly, not as much for the people on the directory as it was for the project itself. But it is, certainly flipped the other direction where now it has become something that people really like, even
Yes.
though it is definitely not given a lot of attention. It is kind of a side project. I believe if the directory were to go away for whatever reason, Owncast would still be Owncast and still do its thing. We don't do a lot of hosting of stuff, so this is kind of like, that rare kind of, okay, we're running this service as well.
Yeah, no, and I can honestly say it helps get the ball rolling. Like when I started looking for alternate platforms and I found Owncast, I would go to the directory to button. Like sometimes there are people just like, okay, that's not my thing. A lot of, again, folks that I found is through the directory. So I think that for me as someone social, it has been such a key part of being able to find other people. I love the directory and I highly recommend it. Have a not safe for work switch, a toggle on there. And that's one of the few kind of rules you have is I don't care what you, if it's going to be not for safe, tag it appropriate. What some people out there that don't. Can you expand on where you stand on where do you draw the line with the directory? Because you can't stop anyone from
Right.
Stop them from.
Yeah, that's I strongly believe that, the software is free and we give you the tool to do whatever you want with it and you can broadcast whatever you want, but that doesn't mean that anybody has to amplify it.
Right.
So
Right.
in this case, if it's something, hurtful or harmful or derogatory or and there's been many streams that fall under that category of people streaming horrendous stuff that show up on the directory, and it's I pull it because it's not something that I personally want to amplify.
Right.
So it's you get the free software that you can do whatever you want with. Um, Obviously, I have opinions about what things are good and what things aren't, but that is besides the point when it comes to that software. But when it comes to amplifying your content, then yeah, I just kind of use my know it when you see it kind of mindset.
And I think that's a great place to draw the line, though, right? Because there's so many people that are like, let's take encryption for. Everyone's trying to ban encryption. Bad stuff happens on it. Obviously, and it's like it's not the software that's bad. It has used. It's the people that are having problems. And again, I'm the same kind of open mindset as when I put software out into the wild, which I don't, but if I did, it's for anyone to use, good or bad. But you don't have to be there standing by supporting what kind of hate others are. That's not what we're about. That's not what we're thinking.
Yeah.
I think that's a great. So what I'm assuming the directory and the chat are kind of around this. You didn't have to connect it to the, like, again, another way for discoverability is had to get some of activity. You haven't put a web server in there. You had to get some of activity put in there. Was that your initial intent, just allow discoverability because we have algorithms with organic, like And how difficult was it?
Yeah, so early on in the project, a lot of people said like add ActivityPub to it, add Fediverse to it. And it would kind of stop there and I would be like, okay, so what do you mean? What should it do? And nobody would really have an answer. Like they really love the idea of like expanding the Fediverse and making more tools compatible with the Fediverse, but like very few had any idea what that would actually look like or
Yep.
what it would mean, including me, right? And I was just kind of saying, well, I have no interest in doing this whatsoever until it actually solves a problem and it actually like adds something to the experience.
Yep.
So, and I have no idea what that would look like right now. So I just didn't until some time went by, and then I started kind of like thinking about the potential social features and thinking of the Fediverse as more of a just a social layer on top of Owncast as opposed to the Fediverse being the thing itself, right? So
Right.
like think of Mastodon
Yeah.
or PureTube or PixelFed, like that and the Fediverse go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, they are they make up the Fediverse.
That is their
Where with
primary goal.
yeah, where with Owncast, I was thinking, well, what if we could just utilize the Fediverse for what it's good at and where the people are and take advantage of some of that functionality without building another microblogging platform. So what would that look like? And that's how the social features came out, where essentially, yeah, you can follow an Owncast server and you can like its posts. And the way that I think of it is liking a post is telling the streamer that you like it, and then sharing or boosting or reposting it is telling everybody else that you like it. And
Yeah.
all those signals then come back into the Owncast chat and kind of highlight the people that are, they become super fans. Then it's like, oh, look at Tommy J, he's showing it to his friends, thanks Tommy J. It's like
Yeah.
that is a huge signal of support when somebody is sharing it with their circle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is, I think, again, an important way to organically grow this without algorithm, right? Like if I'm following you and I boost you, like we have something in common. Like, I'm not a football player, but someone that likes football is like, hey, go look at this football player's something or other. And it's such an organic way for all of us to kind of piggyback off of each other and just say, I like this, without having anything pushed. And you're not gonna get a lot. It's self-hosted. I think I've seen one guest provider out will spin up an Owncast for you, manage it. It's not really a big thing yet, but get one more person out of the 100 that have seen that post, then that person cascades into balls. I love that kind of organic growth that we have on the fence. I think that was a great.
Yeah. And people definitely say like, well, why can't I send a message from the Fediverse and it show up in Owncast chat? And that's a very common question. And I just say, well, why?
Yeah.
What would you get out of that? Because if you are watching a stream, then you're already
Here.
in chat.
Yep.
And if you're not watching the stream, then you have no place sending things into
Yeah.
chat remotely. So it's just going to be people like, trolling and
Right.
making problems. So it's like none of those things really make sense. So that's why that doesn't support it. It's on purpose.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I've come to realize, talking to some other folks that um, are kind of targeted on the larger platforms, that I'm not. I'm I'm a middle class, middle aged white male. Like I am. If anything, I'm more likely to be the one that's trolling in my demographic. Honestly, sadly. And I've talked to some Owncast folks. Yeah, I I have the social features, but I turn off people announcing liking just because people will literally go out, create a username that is go F yourself. And then they'll do it just so it pops up in your chat. And it's just like, it amazes me how much time people have. I don't.
Sure.
I don't get that. So yeah, you have to be very careful with balancing that. You've done a great job with even just having, toggle switch. Yeah, you don't have, or, you ban these names. So you can turn off chat totally. Stream to friends and not have the power you've given. It is so easy.
Thank you.
So, how often are you going out on the directory? What is your favorite thing to watch on Own? If you do, which you might not.
Oh, I'm looking at the directory all the time.
Are you?
And it's funny because, like, I was just saying how the directory wasn't really built for, that was its initial purpose. And now I'm like, I check it every day to see, like, oh, is there anything cool there?
Yep.
In fact, you know, I like the directory so much that we now have a couple different apps around it that you can browse the directory. So we have an iPhone app and a Apple TV app where you can just scroll through who's in the directory. Those are our native apps. And we have a Roku app that a couple people are really improving right now. So I started something small on there, and now people are kind of running with it to improve on that. So I kind of diminish, I talk like the directory's not that important, but at the same time, it's like, I know people like it, and giving people other interfaces to browse it, especially on things like televisions, where that's where you watch things. So why shouldn't it be easy to bring Owncast to your biggest screen in the house? So that's
Oh, so someone asks when are we getting an Android?
I think this is the first time someone's asked for one. So
there you go.
You get some demand, and
it's open source. So if there are any software developers out there that Gabe is only one guy, feel free to help out. You have a very active GitHub. It looks. I filed a couple bugs this past week. Found pretty much literally within the day. I think you were responding to. Very open for. Sorry. I'm trying to do scene transition. But anyway, but you're very open for getting help.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier when we were talking, I love working with other people, and I love collaborating, and I love being a part of something that's bigger than myself. I don't want Owncast to be a Gabe thing. I want, if I were to get hit by a bus, I would like to think that it could keep going tomorrow. So that's really how I think about it.
What's one of the silliest, strangest things directory that kind of was just, this is what I helped. Like, you have anything like I think there's some people like putting their cameras out in the garden, you just watch wild. Not really silly or weird, but like you can see some. You ever seen anything that kind of?
I'm sure I have. I mean, there's been so many different things pop up over time, come and go. There's been a stream recently, so it's just kind of like recency bias that there's a stream that's doing like AI generated music, and it's just like a bunch of like AI generated goofy songs with like the lyrics on the screen, and
That's great.
like this person felt strongly that this needs to exist. Like this stream needs to be out in the world, and I think that's awesome, because why not?
Yeah.
Right? It's just like,
As you know, I mean, I don't know most people. Like, I'm not a fan of AI, especially that I would choose. Yes, but again, that doesn't mean that something made art, as long as it, in my opinion, doesn't place art. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
I'm the same mindset. Like I see the appeal in this, because the whole thing is like, oh, this is AI generated. Like that's the
right.
whole shtick. So it's like, oh, I can see the entertainment in there, and I'm kind of like listening to it and being like, oh, this is wacky. You know, this song is super goofy. So I'm not trying to like treat it like it's real music, or
Yeah,
like it's a real artist or anything, especially as a music lover myself. But treating it as like this other like weird kind of goofy thing that's just streaming on an Owncast server, I think that's kind of funny.
that's awesome. Yeah, and it's I come into the issue with it's going to replace everyone stuff. No, it's not. Secondly, from Monster for wanting to do that to people.
Right.
Like, I just people need to create, and we need to get paid. Guys, the idea of that is just and then oh, I have to ask this. What do you think about fish mole?
Fish mole.
Yes.
What is
Can,
fish mole?
so can I get fish moles in the chat? We're about 10 seconds behind. The fish mole emote is an emote that a couple of us have on our streams, and it's just like a blob fish that's flattened, and it's just become kind of a weird symbol for us, and we just fish mole whenever. It's
I guess I've been out of the loop. I
yeah,
need to get in
yep.
on the fish mole, apparently.
Yep, the fish mole is the emote. If I can, if there's an emote that you start shipping with, I mean, I know you send a whole bunch, but fish mole, because that's what that is, the fish.
No, absolutely. If it's licensed in a way that we can redistribute it legally, yeah, happy to add it. You can make a pull request and add it to the project.
All right, there you go. All right, so the real reason I asked Gabe is actually to give him an opportunity to win a prize of a lifetime. Our prize today is a gently used half-eaten burrito. I'm sure you're excited about that.
I love burritos.
Who doesn't? I mean, in San Francisco, you got access to.
So true.
So, and I did want to get you a super yacht, but Jeff got the only one out there. So sorry that you don't.
Understandable.
But are you ready? Are you ready for the quiz?
I believe so.
Okay. Pineapple on pizza? Yes, sir.
Yes.
See, this is how we're gonna start it, huh? That's favorite movie, and why is it Spaceballs?
Spaceballs is great, but favorite movie is The Matrix.
Matrix. Okay. Not a bad one. I'll take. Waffles or pancakes?
Probably waffles. But not strongly over the two.
No. Okay. My 4-year-old. That's pretty much all of the kids. Axolotls, narwhals, or platypi?
Platypi.
Platypi? Oh, that's interesting. I was surprised by that. Everyone seems to love axolotls lately. I kind of like narwhals. Platypi are very nice and unique. Here's one. This is going to give you a curve. What does alternate universe Gabe do?
I gotta say that he's a rock star somewhere.
Rock star?
Yeah, he that one day when things forked and he spent way too much time behind a keyboard that one day and never left.
Yep.
That day he stayed behind the drums instead.
Gotcha. I actually talked to Alternate for this call, and he actually he's a huge clown shoe salesman, but you know, I think that was another route you might have taken. There is a large market for you.
And there's a lot of different universes. So
yeah, well, that's I guess
maybe that's just one of them.
Maybe that's maybe I die. Oh, you know what? I think I didn't hit 9 for an hour. I think that's it. Internet points or cryptocurrency?
Internet points. I mean, you could argue that cryptocurrency can be worth something, but just out of principle.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's where I was at, and that's going to be the edgiest question that we have. Like, Linux, Windows, or Mac?
So I use a Mac and Linux pretty interchangeably. Okay. At home, I run pretty much Linux full time. I have a framework laptop, and it only runs Linux, and that's kind of my thing.
Oh, you have a framework?
Yeah, I love it. Got the framework 16 just this past year, like 6 months ago or so.
Yeah, I've told my wife about it, and yes, let's future if we need another laptop, we're going to pay that because everything shouldn't be disposable.
Yeah.
Society is. Okay.
And I've already swapped out ports.
Oh, have you?
It's like, oh, I'm not going to need a headphone port. And then it's like, oh, I need an audio out. Okay, well, let me just put one in there. And it's like, okay, I'm liking this.
That's awesome. So. And then the very last question that I'm just going to send it to you telepathically, and you can answer.
All right.
Okay. What's your answer to that?
42.
Oh, wow. I think that's right. I think you got quiz either 100% right or less than 100% right and somewhat wrong. Either way, I will make sure that I fax you over that half-eaten. Congratulations.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Gabe, very much for coming. I appreciate it. I actually wanted to keep it at an hour, and I had like a dozen more questions that we didn't get to, but I actually had an absolute blast. So thank you so much for coming.
Same. Thanks so much for having me. Had a lot of fun.
Yes, I loved it. So, and finally, because what good show doesn't end in a sponsor, but our first episode brought to you by Liquid Schwartz. Whether it's bringing down a Mega Maid or a Mog helping your buddy, don't forget your can of Liquid Schwartz. Pick it up at any of your local Winnebago dealerships, Gus's Galaxy Grill near Jupiter too. And may the Schwartz be with you. Oh, what a world. So thank you, Gabe. Sorry. I'm a bit of a weirdo and I have fun and I love it. So
that's what matters.
That's right. We got that's it. That's all I got. So Gabe.
All right.
Thank you so much. I think I cut out early. Hang on. Oh, we're still talking. I cut out early. But yeah, Gabe, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course, I had a lot of fun.
If there's anything anyone can do for you, let us know. We'll, again, I'll post the links to the Owncast stuff down below. And everyone, thank Gabe for all the amazing fun. Yes. Talk to you in the future.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. You as well.